I said, do I meet the criteria to come and speak at the Relay for Life? So I thought about the criteria. Number one, how many of you hate cancer? All right, I meet that check mark, right? Number two, how many of you support finding a cure for cancer? All right, meet that too, right? Number three, how many support raising money to defeat this cancer? All right, I meet that too, right? All these things. Here was the one that I started questioning whether or not I could be here, right? When I thought about the word relay, I got scared. Let me tell you why. Because I'm thinking about the word relay in terms of what's ending today? The Olympics, right? So I'm thinking about that. So I had this visual in my mind of the expectation that I'm supposed to run around the zoo. And I ain't been prepared for that. The only thing I've been working out, let me tell you my workouts. They're forklifts and getting up and to and from the couch to get to the refrigerator. So I was like, I'm not ready for this. So, of course, my brilliant partner here, if you ever watch us in the morning, like people think, man, these guys don't like each other. We love each other. We're really fortunate to have one another. But she's so smart, she's so bright, she's so brilliant. She had to pull me aside and say, dummy, it's not a real relay. You don't have to run. So, once I realized that, I decided I definitely can participate in this. And so, I started thinking about what I could say, and this quote came to mind. The race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that endureth until the end. The race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to the one that endureth until the end. So in life, you don't have to be the fastest. You just have to be the one who doesn't quit, right? You don't have to be the strongest. You just have to be the one that doesn't quit. I've heard this quote all my life, and I've always interpreted it one way. And it's always good to hear and have inspirational quotes. But it's another thing when you have to live them, right? When it comes to battling cancer, for those of us who are here and those of us who have been touched as survivors or caregivers, the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to the one that endures until the end. This is much more than a quote. It's an oath, it's a mantra, it's a declaration, and it's a way of life for us. This event may not be running a relay in the true sense of having to run a relay, but I can assure you that it truly is a race. So I believe this, nothing happens by happenstance. This event is called a relay for life, and the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that endures until the end. And this quote is about a race. Plus, we just saw that the Olympics are ending. The ceremony concludes today. So the fact that one of the most recent events in the Olympics was the 4x100. How many of you all ever ran track? Anybody here ran track before? So, how many of you all watched the Olympics? So for those of you who run track and those of you who watch the Olympics, it's not a coincidence that one of the last events that's happened are the 4x100 meter relay. So I'm going to talk about the women's 4x100 relay.
Don't talk about the men's, guys, screwed it up.
I'm not going to talk about the men's, I'm going to talk about the women's, okay? Because women rock. I thought I'd get more of a cheer out of that. I'm trying to kiss up and y'all didn't do nothing, it's zero. But like I said, nothing happens by happenstance. And so I believe that a coincidence is nothing more than a confirmation of something that we missed the first time, but it's a lesson that we get a chance to learn from and hopefully get it right. So many of us have watched these Olympics for the past few weeks. And I want to tell you, I ran track for a few minutes because my football coach said he recommended that we ran track. So I ran track for like about a few minutes in high school until I remembered that I hated running. Then I stopped running track. But this 4x100 meter relay was one of my most favorite things to watch. And if you didn't watch it, how many of you all watched it? If you didn't watch it, you missed a really thrilling race, a really good race. And since it's one of my favorites, I want to just talk about it just for a few minutes as I get ready to shut this down. So, if you don't know about a 4x100 relay, I'm going to explain it to you. There are 4 runners on a team. All of these compete against other teams. Each runner runs what's referred as a leg, which is 100 meters. The first runner takes the baton, and the runner goes to the starting block in his or her lane, and the first runner waits for the command. What's the command? Anybody know? Go. Not yet. On your mark. Once that runner lines up and gets in those blocks, they nervously anticipate the firing of the starter pistol in order to get a jump on the competitors. The starter pistol is fired and the runners go. The first runner runs 100 meters, and within a 20-meter changeover box, the first runner has to pass the baton to the second runner, all while they're both still running. This happens with the first runner, the second runner, the third runner, and then the fourth runner gets the baton and has to cross the finish line. The fourth runner is typically the strongest runner or the best runner or the one that has to leave it all on the track. They have to run those 100 meters and with that baton in hand and get to that finish line. On March 17, 2003, Daryl Blackburn prepared to run the 4x100 relay for his life. At 8 years old, my son, the team captain, Daryl Blackburn, lined up in the starter lane with his baton in hand. His baton was an astrocytoma glioma, a cancerous brain tumor that was attached to his optic nerve. With bated breath, this 18-year-old got in the starter block and anxiously awaited the firing of the starter pistol. Daryl ran the first leg of the relay, which was managing the second grade and processing the best way an 8-year-old can that he had cancer. He ran his 100 meters until he got to the changeover box, and he passed the baton to his neurosurgeon, Dr. Sue from Children's Hospital. Dr. Sue ran the second leg of the relay, doing an 8-hour brain surgery to remove the cancerous brain tumor. But because Dr. Sue could only remove 20% of that tumor, he ran his 100 meters and got to the changeover box. Then he passed the baton to the third leg runner, Dr. Bombani from Children's Hospital, who was Daryl's oncologist. Dr. Bombani ran the third leg of the 100 meter by starting him on chemotherapy for almost 2 years. After she finished with the chemotherapy, it shrank the tumor significantly. Dr. Bombani ran such a strong leg of that race that she did not have to pass that baton for a whole 20 years. In 2023, Dr. Bombani passed the baton to the Blackburn family and friends for the fourth and final leg of the 4x100 meter race. The Blackburn family and friends carried the baton across the finish line, but the team captain, Daryl Blackburn, wasn't there to see them win. The team captain, Daryl Blackburn, passed out and stopped breathing on June 7, 2023, very unexpectedly. What Dr. Sue, Dr. Bombani, and the Blackburn family and friends didn't know was that the tumor that had shrank 20 years earlier had hemorrhaged on June 7, 2023. And 3 days later, Daryl Blackburn was declared officially deceased. When I talked about how the 4x100 meter relay works, I told you that the fourth leg runner is typically the best runner. As a caregiver of someone who has or is battling cancer, there's nothing harder than the helpless, hopeless feeling of watching the ones you love hurt. So caregivers, we have to be uplifting. Caregivers have to be encouraging. Caregivers have to be long-suffering. Caregivers have to leave it all on the track. Caregivers have to know that your loved one's life is not and was not in vain. Caregivers have to keep fighting for a cure because the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that endures until the end. As a caregiver, as a survivor, you will always endure. And just like the American Women's 4x, the American women's, Sylvia, I said women's, not men's. The women's 4x100 meter relay winners, you will win. My son, Daryl Anthony Blackburn, won. Not the way that I wanted him to win, but he won by making an impact on everyone he met in his life. He won by wearing his scars from his brain tumor openly. The scars that he had from surgery, he wore with pride because he cut his hair low so other people could see it. He won by sharing with others how he lost his sight in one eye and a lot of sight in the other eye because of this cancerous brain tumor. He won because he never stopped living his life, and everywhere he went, he encouraged people. Daryl lived a life of sacrifice, service, but most importantly, he won because he lived a life of gratitude. Daryl was a grateful survivor. Daryl had a master's degree and had a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Oakland University. And when Daryl passed, he was working in his dream job as a coordinator for leadership and volunteer services at Oakland University. I'm a proud Spartan, but I'm a prouder Grizzly because of how they embraced my son. I've been blessed to accomplish a number of things in my own personal and professional life. But nothing makes me prouder, and nothing is greater than to stand before you and anybody else and be able to shout that I'm Daryl's dad. God bless you guys.